I see now that the circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. It is what you do with the gift of life that determines who you are.
That's Mario. He said that.
Mewtwo said that in Pokemon the first movie, because today is February 6th, the day that Mewtwo was born.
Whoa, happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
Mewtwo. Hope
really
everything's
big
going
for you.
well for you. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Kind of Funny Gamescast for Thursday, February 6th, 2025. Of course, I am your host, Tim Geddes. I'm joined today by Blessing Adeoye Jr.
Good day, Tim.
And Andy Cortez.
Hello.
Today, we're going to do something very special, very exciting for me and Bless and Andy and all of you listening right now, including Kevin behind the camera. He's adjusting. He has his hands on the lens. He's making things happen. We are talking all about Super Mario and what we're expecting from his next 3D romp on the Nintendo Switch 2, which is now confirmed. We now know is actually happening. I guess we don't know that a 3D Mario is happening, but we do know, that the Switch 2 is happening. And we are day by day getting closer and closer to the Nintendo Direct that I imagine will give us our first glimpse at this video game. So we're going to talk about what we hope to see. This isn't necessarily predictions. This is hopes and dreams for what we want the next 3D Mario to be. But remember, everybody, this is the Kind of Funny Gamescast. Each and every weekday, we get together to talk about the latest in video games, whether it's reviews, previews, predictions, theories, lists, rankings, all of the above. We cover it here on the Gamescast in a fun discussion after Kind of Funny Games Daily, our daily news show, breaking down all the latest in video game news. Bless, you and Raj already did an episode. What'd you talk about today?
Oh, we talked about so much, especially Metal Gear Solid Delta and how the release date has leaked.
Way later than I expected.
Yeah, that's what I was talking with Roger about. Roger was happy with it, but I was like, yeah, I thought it was going to come out before May.
Yeah.
August just seems so far away.
It does. And not that I'm concerned about it, but it's just like the game seems so finished. Like every time we see a trailer of it, I'm like,
Even better,
yeah.
right? Like that. I think it's best case scenario. You think like, man, this game should be out by now. Oh, they're doing the Nintendo. They're just going to polish the shit out of it.
Yeah,
Fantastic. Polish that snake, you know?
I feel like it
Polish that snake, yeah.
I
love my snake polished.
Though.
Rub
Like,
it down.
it being if it was a new game, I'd be like, all right, yeah, but it's a remake. Like,
Yeah, but there's still details.
and you
in
look
there.
at it, and you're like, you nailed it.
Nah, man, because like Snakes, he's gonna have like things like hanging from his belt and stuff. And you gotta get the detail right on how it swings.
I guess you're right.
gotta
The
polish
snake
that snake.
swing, yeah.
Yeah, and also, I mean, look, if this were a remaster with replaced models, I'd
Yeah.
probably feel that way. Now, granted, a lot of the cutscenes we've seen have kind of
1-to-1.
done the one-on-one thing, but this is a third-person action game. Tim.
Yeah.
There's not going to be any of the fixed angle stuff. It's all just you're in there. You're in
Yeah.
the jungle.
Yeah.
Welcome to it. You got funny games.
I'm just not that I'm worried about Metal Gear in any way, shape, or form, but I just feel like they could have owned that May period. You know what I mean?
You don't think they're gonna own August?
August just feels like it might be just like we don't know. There's just so many like question marks.
They're putting
about
their
the
flag
games,
in there.
but
you know?
yeah, maybe
What's
that's
bigger-
right.
What bigger game than Metal Gear Solid 3 could come out in August? Mario.
Well,
3D
And
Mario.
that is the other thing too is I do think that this now does align now that this date's out there. Like we've been talking about this game probably coming to Switch 2, and I think that now it's more likely than ever that it will be day and date across all three of the
Wow.
consoles, which I think is pretty exciting. But that's this conversation for another time. After Gamescast, we're going to do a fun stream. It's going to be Mike beating Kingdom Hearts 2. This is the finale. Will he do
Finally
it? Do you believe in it, Andy? Do you believe Mike's going to cross the finish line today?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think chat's going to hold him accountable.
Power of friendship, everybody.
They're
I
going to
believe in him.
pressure him. They're going to, humiliate him
Yeah,
to the point where he will finally beat it. I think it's going to happen. It's been a long journey, man.
it has. Yeah.
He started this a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of avoiding it.
So everybody, stay tuned today. Will he complete it? We'll have to see. If you're a kind of funny member.
If Blessing just happens to walk by and be like, oh, it'd be cool to kind of stream that, Mike would immediately be like, get in there, let's stream it right now. Like, at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're a kind of funny member, you can get today's Greg Way and very exciting stuff. At 1 p.m., you're going to be able to watch us live record the great MCU re-rank. We are going to rank every single Marvel movie that we've done so far and in review, whether it was the X-Men, the Spider-Man, or all of the Marvel Studios produced into one list, combining me, Andy, Nick, and Greg's painstakingly curated lists. Andy did a stream a couple days ago as he curated his list, and I had so much fun watching him because he was going through so much of the same turmoil I was. Because bless, you think you got it locked. You think you know.
think you do.
But when you start having to compare the apples, oranges, and wrenches, you know what I mean? You're like, how am I supposed to compare these things?
It's fair.
The problems
gets
you
real
run in-
hard.
the problems you run into are, I think, some of the things I run into when reviewing anything, where you go like, okay, the final third of Endgame, or if I'm comparing another movie where I'm like, that movie's a 10 out of 10 all the way throughout. Endgame, the first 2/3, like an 8.5 or 9 out of 10, but the final third
Like
is
an
like
11.
a 50 out of 10.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, how do you
do
weigh
you
that
balance
against
it?
each other? What really made you feel in that moment? Somebody was like, Andy, did Endgame make you cry? I was like, yeah, I was open mouth crying. I couldn't control what I was
Open-mouth
doing.
crying.
But then at the end of Infinity War, I felt like we witnessed a terrorism attack,
Yeah,
like
it
in the
really
theater.
did. It really did. Like the silence of walking out of Infinity
Yes.
War is unlike anything else I've ever
Walked out of there
experienced.
shocked. Like
Yeah.
I saw, really, really bad shit. We all did, and we walked out
It-
like we were leaving a
I
funeral.
remember like finishing Infinity War. It was opening night, right? And like as we're walking out the theater, I have like kind of this giddy excitement because I couldn't believe that they did it in that way. And I was like, guys, this is fucking awesome. And there was another guy who like sounded like he wanted to fight me. Like a guy who I didn't know, like a part of
He's
another.
like, show some fucking respect.
Yeah,
Our boys and girls died today.
Yeah, like he like gave me an eye and like kind of turned to his friend and was like, oh, this guy over here.
There
I
was a little
like,
boy from New York who died.
I was like, it wasn't real. We're telling a story and it's really cool right now.
But yeah, it's so funny because like I had such a challenge ranking at the top of the list, in the middle of the list, and at
Hard.
the bottom of the
Yeah.
list. Because it's like I feel vaguely it's very easy to be like, which of the three categories do you put these movies in? But then ranking them, that's where the difficulty comes in. But anyways, we're going to be live revealing it to the group and to y'all, starting at number 62 all the way to number 1, trying to see what the new list going forward is definitively for Kind of Funnies, every Marvel movie in review. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Delaney Twining, Carl Jacobs, Omega Buster, and Karen Lindner. Today, we are brought to you by Aura Frames, but we'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin with what is and forever will be the topic of the show. It's Mario, 3D Mario, everybody. We've seen it a handful of times. Not that many, if you really think about it. We had
Yeah.
Mario 64. We had Mario Sunshine, Mario Galaxy 1, Galaxy 2, Mario 3D Land, Mario 3D World, Bowser's Fury, Mario Odyssey, and that's it.
You're a lot more lenient than I am.
You named a lot of
Yeah,
fears.
you named. Listen, I know we got love, and I got love for Mario 3D Land and 3D World and Bowser's Fury, but
Yeah.
like, I don't know, man. They're not Galaxy or Odyssey. They're not really they're like 2.75D.
I mean, you're wrong.
They're like
It's like cool to be
2.75D.
wrong about this, like factually.
It's
You mean
different,
the
though.
importance of them?
It's
Because
just,
that's the way I feel about new Super Mario Bros. And like,
I'm thinking of more so like the branches of what I think. Like, if Nintendo's like, we're announcing a new 3D Mario and they announced a 3D World 2, I'd be like, fuck that. Then you announced a new 3D World is what you did. When you say a 3D Mario, I expect a Galaxy. I expect an Odyssey. Like for me, the 3D games are like it's a new branch in the timeline.
It is funny you say that though, because I do think that the argument you're making, you could also apply that Galaxy and 3D World have more similarities than Galaxy and Odyssey do. Just saying, from a pure gameplay perspective. But I understand the points you're making. I don't agree with you at all.
That's fair. That's fair.
But because like, if we're talking about quality and we're talking about like just what they're bringing to the table, like we're talking about some of the best 3D platformers, period. Sure, it's not in the
they're all
style
quality.
of 64, style of like Odyssey, the bigger collectathon stuff. But I do agree. The one thing I do agree with from what you said is if they announced a new 3D world when we're all expecting the Odyssey type sequel, yes, people would be let down because of expectations and all that stuff there. But playing through Bowser's Fury, it does very much feel kind of like them pushing forward what a sequel to Odyssey even could look like mechanically.
bless, it's similar to fighting Lady Maria in Bloodborne. You're just like, there's a different vibe here. There's a different.
yeah. So
there's
what
a
are you
different-
what are you doing? What are you experimenting with here?
At the end of in the Dark Souls 1 DLC, bless, you happen to cross an NPC, and they look like they're not of this time. They're speaking a different way. They're dressed like they're almost in a Victorian era, and you're like, you're not from here. And they even say they're not from here, and that's what it is. That's what it was like playing Bowser's Fury. It's like, what are you hinting at? Right?
I
here?
like to that to explain what's going on in Mario, the most popular franchise in the world, you pull the Bloodborne DLC as a comparison point, like, just in case y'all don't know about what they did in 3D World. It's kind of like
the boss baby energy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a layman term, you know.
It's kind of like what they did in the Bloodborne DLC. When they had the Lady Maria boss fight, which hinted toward the mechanics of Sekiro. In case you're unaware.
Yeah.
So okay, with putting that out there, I mean, like, I know that I did list like a lot of games there. It's still not that many though. Like when we think about, I feel like people would assume there's been more 3D Marios than there actually have been over the last couple decades. Like we're talking about a long time in video games, and like still potentially, I'd say like average like one per console, right?
Yeah.
When we're looking at the different systems. So we don't get that many of these things, but we are due for a new one. And I want to know what y'all want from that. Starting with, I laid out all those games. Would you prefer a sequel to one of those games, whether literally with a number or just kind of in style? Or would you rather see something that feels kind of like you can't quite put it in the exact same category? It's not Odyssey 2. It's not Galaxy 3. It is something that offers something new enough to be its own thing.
Are you talking new enough flood device, Mario Sunshine?
Or
adding
Cappy.
That? Okay.
Or Galaxy
Cappy.
having the more like gravity stuff. It does, like, you get what I'm saying? Like it doesn't necessarily fit in the lineage of, like, if they announce the Galaxy 3, we know exactly what that is. If they announce an Odyssey 2, we know exactly what that is.
Where, it's been well documented, Tim. I don't like Super Mario Sunshine. I had a real bad time with it. Really feels like, they fucking just let their families, take your kid to work day, and they told all the kids, make a game. And like the parents all went to go drink some margaritas in the break room. Just, it's a bad video game, objectively. Everybody knows this. But I like the structure of it. I like exploring, going down the different worlds, kind of what you're used to in a Mario 3D game, especially going into the little challenge rooms. I like that those things are separated. The challenge rooms being a much sort of harder version of what you're kind of experiencing. In the challenge rooms, they take away your flood device. So you're kind of like, it's your back against the wall. How am I going to succeed against this challenge? I like the way that's structured. I just didn't really like playing much of any of the rest of the video game. But my wish would be, I mean, it's honestly kind of hard to say, what else can they do? Because we saw a lot of stuff being thrown at the wall in Odyssey, and a lot of it stuck the landing. The transfer to 2D, those little gimmick levels, that stuff that's like, there's not a whole lot of gameplay in this moment, but this is presentation, right? The Odyssey kind of felt like they're, we're going to tribute all of the rest of our video games. We're going to really showcase what our history is. That's what kind of Odyssey felt like, and I just don't really know what else they can do aside from changing the formula.
Odyssey almost felt like the Smash Ultimate of 3D Mario, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're throwing everything into the pot. I think
they had a realistic looking dinosaur.
They did.
It was really weird.
It was really weird. And they had a realistic...
And then you could throw a hat at it and then control it.
Yeah.
I find this question fascinating because I think I have such particular tastes when it comes to like what I want out of a 3D platformer and what I want out of a Mario. And so like I'll say something and I'll contradict it. So I'm gonna say what I want out of a 3D Mario, what my personal taste, I want something that is designed to be open like an Odyssey or a Mario 64. And it doesn't need to be a Odyssey 2. Doesn't need to be a Mario 64 2. I would like both of those things. If they decided to make sequels to either of those things, I'd be down for it. But just in terms of a spiritual successor, I want that type of vibe. Or Bowser's Fury. I think Bowser's Fury is another good example of, I want something that is open, pick a direction, go there, and find all the collectibles kind of thing. That said, a Super Mario Galaxy 3 sequel, or Super Mario Galaxy 3 game, right, the sequel to Galaxy 2, I'd also be very happy with. Like, if you're going to make that kind of game, something that is a bit more, like, linear, I guess, maybe...
more focused.
Yeah, more focused, maybe, like, more, you're doing a singular goal at a time sort of thing. I want it to be a Galaxy sequel and nothing else.
And come back to a hub world and give your homies whatever things that you found in the other world.
And like in I mean that both literally, or like I guess if you find a good if you find a gimmick that is as inspired as Galaxy, go for it. I just don't know if you can. Like Galaxy just feels like such a wow. Like this has a vibe, this has an energy, this has a design design focus that is super cool, and I love what they do with Gravity. I love what they do with the planets. I love how, like, everything about Galaxy I think works. And so if you made a Galaxy 3, I think that would be hype for the audience. That'd be hype for me. I'd love it, right? That said, I don't know. At the same time, I also just want something that is more Odyssey style gameplay. I don't know how you evolve on Odyssey. That I think would get into an interesting conversation that we can have of like, yeah, where do you go from here? Because it does feel like they did. It feels like they threw everything into it.
I've got a weird one.
Go
Like,
for it.
you know, thinking back to how much I enjoyed Tears of the Kingdom and experiencing a lot of what Breath of the Wild had to offer with new flavors and kind of like, hey, we're just adding new variables to this weird ass concoction and you're just going to have fun with it because we've kind of made this playground for you to be super interesting. I think it would be really neat if they did a similar thing with Mario 64, where we're playing Mario 64 in the new engine with the new visuals. We are back in that world. But there are some things that are altered and they have added on way more to it. But it's largely a lot of the same structure, jumping into paintings for whatever, mission it is, come back out, hand out the mission or whatever. I would love a remixed version of that because I think that formula is so damn perfect. And having, take it further. I'm not just saying like, just give me a better looking Super Mario 64. I would love to see some wild shit happen at the castle that like, oh my God, there was some shit underneath here. We had and that opened up and there's Sky Islands as well. Maybe not Sky Islands, but
Why not?
I love the idea of just remixing a classic like that and giving the old heads something to go back to and be like, holy shit, they're giving me something I love as well, but they're also adding on so much more to it. And you're going to get some flack where people were like, Tears of the Kingdom is just a reskin. It's like, no, it wasn't. You didn't play that fucking game, I would love to see something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like obviously any Mario 64, anything sequel, remix, otherwise, it's like, yeah, that's going to be dream top of my list for what any of these things are. That besides a brand new thing that we can't even fathom what it is, because obviously that would be the answer. Nintendo's so good at that. I do think that for me, this next 3D Mario, despite being such a hardcore fan of pretty much every style of these Mario games that we're talking about, where I have a very hard time honestly answering what I would prefer over a Galaxy 3 or a Mario 3D World sequel or an Odyssey 2. Like all of them I'd say are pretty equal for me of like that. They all sound amazing and I want them. But I think that what the Switch 2 next 3D Mario needs to be, I'm with Bless that it needs to be big, open, 3D, bigger than Odyssey even. And I would love for that to include elements of what you're saying, Andy, because the difference between Mario 64 and Odyssey, they both are just you go into different levels and collect a bunch of things.
It's skin in a different way, sure, yeah.
Odyssey there's endless collectibles in each level, and the levels are a lot bigger and have a lot more. The bonus challenge rooms of Sunshine are just kind of in the levels, and you'll go through a sewer, and all of a sudden you're in this like platform challenge level to get to these other moons that are harder to get than just the random ones you find. Like if you climb this building, it's on the roof and it's just chilling there for you, right? But when you look at Mario 64, it's 6 stars per level. Like the levels don't have much going on. You can only get 1 star and you get booted back to the hub world. But the hub world is so amazing and it has so much character and personality. And Nintendo's failed to capture that sense. I think Delfino Island in Sunshine is probably the closest it has gotten there. But the Comet Observatory in Galaxy was
boring.
Just whatever.
It's just whatever. Like I don't want to say it's bad, but it's nothing special at all. To the point that in Galaxy 2, they just straight up scrapped it. They're like, we know you don't care about this shit. You're just going to go level to level. I would love to figure out a way to, I think this is how the Bowser's Fury influence and the Odyssey can kind of combine, is figure out a way to have everything be open, but have kind of multiple hubs with levels within it. So how sick would it be if you can you start at Peach's Castle and it's an expansive 3D world where you can go beyond the green hills, right? Maybe the Green Hill Zone.
Yeah.
No.
The walls fall down. It was a play the whole time. There's shit behind it.
But
What's
having,
over the Green Hills though? It's like there's a road there from Mario Kart 64.
Exactly.
Get
But
hit by
do you see
Bowser
what I'm
in a
saying, though?
I
It's
do
like,
see what you're saying.
It's like
yeah.
have the castle kind of exist as is, because we already do have the lower level and higher level. And like there's places with the paintings, like, and there can be more paintings. There can be new paintings. There can be some of the same, but with expanded levels within them. But in addition to that,
find a room with just a shitload of paintings, and you're just like, "What the fuck? We didn't even know this was here." Make the
So
Shadow
cool.
of the Erd Tree version
Oh my God.
for the sequel, and people go, "Well, that's just DLC," but it's like, well, it's also 40 years later or whatever, 30 years later since that game happened. Man, I think that would be the biggest win, and the thing that would get me the most excited, because I liked Odyssey fine. I think it's a very, very good video game. But I don't know if I'd be so stoked for an Odyssey 2. But
let me ask you why.
the
Though.
vibe.
What are your the things that you don't think Mario Odyssey like absolutely nailed?
It's hard to explain, because when I played Galaxy 1, I felt that magic. Even though it could be frustrating at times where I'm like, I'm hitting up but I'm running backwards or whatever. But with Odyssey, it's still a game that I would say, yeah, that's one of the best 3D platformers of all time. But something about it still like lacked this magic for me. And maybe it was just where I was with Nintendo at the time, or maybe it was just me really, really rooting for Breath of the Wild that year of GOTY. And I'm like, Odyssey's a really good platformer, but Breath of the Wild is like truly transformative. I think it's a very awesome attempt at a 3D platformer. And I love the, everybody talks about Astrobot's sort of gimmick stuff. I mean, Cappy was that, right? Cappy is throwing it at something and becoming that thing, and now you have a different sort of mechanic. I think it's a super smart video game. For whatever reason at the time, I just think it's like a very good Nintendo video game, and not a whole lot more than that.
I wonder if it's like the cohesion, because I'm somebody who I'm Odyssey over Galaxy, but I think there is kind of a magic to Galaxy in terms of like the vibe of it, and like I don't know, there's like something that feels singular about Galaxy compared to Odyssey. And I think maybe the cohesion of Galaxy being like this, you hear the soundtrack and it's the orchestral, I don't know, there is something that is even across the whole game where it is, man, I am playing Galaxy right now. It is that, plus like, mechanically, or the design of the world being, okay, you're on planets, you're doing all this gravity shit, so you have the game pulling itself together there. And then you do have, even though the combat observatory is boring, you still have it. Like, there is still a hub world that you come back to that I think helps ground everything. Whereas Mario Odyssey, it does feel like you're jumping into because this is what the game is, right? But you're jumping into a lot of varied. The food kingdom is different from, or the luncheon kingdom is different from the water kingdom, which is different from the snow kingdom, which is different from the dinosaur one, right? Like, extremely different types of areas. And like, I don't think you have a central thing to ground it all in, which is the point of the game, right? You're traveling, you're getting these different locales, like that is what the game is going for. But I do think, like to Tim's point, I think a hub world could pull all that stuff together and like give grounding to, I guess, the story and the world and the vibe that you want out of it. That would make the ultimate Mario game if they could have nailed that.
Yeah,
Even though I think it's still the ultimate Mario game.
I also just don't even have a whole lot of reasons for why the game is one of my, not as highly regarded for me as Sunshine, or not Sunshine, sorry, Galaxy was, right? Like I think it's just sometimes a game resonates with you in that moment and sometimes it doesn't. And I don't even think I beat Odyssey. Like I got pretty close. I got towards that level where you're like in the kind of like the Great Wall of China, I guess.
The Bowser's
Japan.
Yeah. Like I got kind of in that area and just kind of fell off. But there was nothing really pulling me back toward. Honestly, same thing happened with Super Mario Wonder. I never went back to that video game. And maybe I'm just at a point where the 3D platformer of that style, or the even the 2D platformer, isn't really doing it for me, because it has all the magic. Wonder was, for all intents and purposes, really awesome. It has so many great things, so many imaginative mechanics and things like that, and it just wasn't really pulling me back towards it. But I think the nostalgia baiting of bringing me back to Super Mario 64, or even if this next Mario game is this multiversal jumping Donkey Kong now, and you're jumping into, you're going to fight an alien with Samus, or maybe not. Maybe you're just in their worlds, and that's their version of the Lunch Kingdom and the whatever kingdom. I would need something a bit more to sort of say like, oh, this is the definitive Mario, and it's back for me.
Yeah, I definitely don't want it to get too multiversal. Like I think that the combining of the Mushroom Kingdom and Donkey Kong stuff, that makes sense, and they already do it. Like, I mean, from the dawn of Donkey Kong,
Right.
Mario, and them have been together. But even when you look at the movie and its influences, like, I mean, legitimately, there's the scene of them in Peach's castle, and they bring up the war battle map.
Oh, right, yeah.
And it has all of the different things, and like Donkey Kong's island or whatever is the one of the Congo jungle is one of the areas. I love that. Like, imagine if we had Peach's castle as one of the hubs, but then there was also some hub in that area that had an equal amount of secrets and stuff. Like, I think that multiple
Forgotten
hubs
land.
in oh, come on, but a giant hub world with multiple hub zones with
Oh my gosh.
that to me is
'Cause,
like
if-
the dream.
If you can make it so that the Mushroom Kingdom actually feels like you are exploring the whole Mushroom Kingdom. Now we're talking about an open world game, right? But I wonder if there's a way to condense that to where, all right, you got the Mushroom Kingdom, which is an explorable area, but within it you have Peach's Castle. Maybe you have the DK Isle or something, right? Or like Donkey Kong Country that you can go to, and then you have Delfino Square, and like then you start to get into the multiverse thing. But if you contextualize it in like a good way and bring those elements together, then you might be talking about the ultimate Mario game of, man, we're doing the nostalgia stuff, and in the same way that we honored the original DK, right, and honored like Mario Brothers 1 with the 2D stuff, right, we are going through the history and really like going in with, hey, here's the DK hub with multiple levels that are inspired by Donkey Kong, and Donkey Kong's a character in this world, right? And then you come back to the Peach's Castle, and you might have maybe some revamped, remixed levels from Mario 64. All right, cool. We're going to Delfino Square where you have like, that style of stuff. We're not going to give you Flood because fuck Flood, but yeah, like I think there's something there to it that could be magic. They're not going to do any of this shit though.
Flood's the villain. Flooded
know.
all of the Mushroom Kingdom.
I think they might. Like, legitimately, like
You
when
think
you
so?
when you look at the pattern of like what they've been doing, like, yeah, I don't think that it's a guarantee by any means. It's Nintendo and it's Mario. They literally could do anything. But like, I think that it's not like, oh, this is out of the question. Like, when you look at how they treat and revere their previous products, it's very interesting because like Mario Galaxy 2, I think it was, had Throwback Galaxy, which was the Thwomp's Fortress, but remade. And that was amazing. Like that to me meant everything when I was a kid of like, oh my God, this nostalgia I have, and now it's better than ever in this gameplay that's so damn good, whatever. But then when you get to the end of Odyssey and you get to Peach's Castle and it's like, this is everything I've ever wanted. And then you get in the castle and you can't jump in the paintings. I'm like, well, it's not everything I ever wanted.
Yeah.
You know? And then like you see Isle Delfino in the back on the map when you're like going to the different kingdoms, and it's like I remember beating Odyssey. Odyssey's a 10 out of 10 to me, I think. But I remember beating it and having the same feeling I had after beating Galaxy of just like, I want more of this, and I feel like they very clearly could have done X, Y, and Z, and they didn't. And then we got Mario Galaxy 2, and they did those things. And I feel like we didn't get the Odyssey 2, but I don't think in a post-Bowser's Fury world, we need it to be Odyssey 2. I think it definitely can just address all of the issues I had and just kind of solve it by just putting out a much bigger version of Odyssey. And Odyssey was already huge, but just taking the logic of Bowser's Fury of, it's all in one loadless zone that you're just going through. Like, that would be, I think, the coolest thing.
That was like my dream. Well, I remember playing Galaxy, and I forget the level. It was Galaxy 2, actually. There is a level where it was a water level. You swim, go through the obstacles or whatever, and then you come out at the end of it, and there's like, the music is gone, and there's like this serene, like surrounded by greenery, and like the sun is shining, and then like your star is sitting right there for you to collect. And I remember getting there and being like, man, it'd be sick if there was a Mario game that was just open world that would have moments like this, right? Almost like the Breath of the Wild of, man, what is that over there? You go to it, you find it, and you're like you look over a vista and be like, man, I can go wherever I want. Like I am, I'm Mario. I can fly wherever. I can do whatever the fuck. That to me would be the dream Mario game, because Mario, I think, has the aesthetic and charm to where you can say you took all of the zones from Mario Odyssey and just fucking smushed them together. That's
Yeah.
essentially what we're talking about.
Exactly, but smush them together with what I think is a incredibly important aspect of 3D Mario, which is an inspired hub world. And in here,
Yeah.
I think multiple hub worlds, so that it's not this ever sprawling hub world that all of a sudden becomes an open world to itself. Like, I'm just talking about multiple of Peach's castle sized spaces with levels and stuff that you can jump in and out of, but it feels like it's this big seamless thing. And it's like not much different than what Odyssey already does. It's just instead of getting in a plane and choosing the menu to fly your ship somewhere else, it's just you're actually in a hub world that's fun, that has its own secrets and stars and stuff.
Man, I think it was a GIF or an image I think I sent you years ago of Mario. Somebody had designed Mario 64's levels
As a 3D sphere.
as as like a 3D, but like they had like basically made it make sense of putting all those levels together and making them work kind of seamlessly as one big world. And like that for me would be fucking sick if you could somehow pull that off. One of the things I want to talk about, and this kind of goes all the way back to Andy and like Andy having the conversation of how Galaxy hit for you versus how Odyssey hit for you. Do you think part of it might have had to do with difficulty and like the Mario Odyssey having so many moons that it almost felt like you didn't really have to try that hard to find them? Because I know there was like a lot of people that would talk about that, and when I think about the change from Galaxy to Odyssey in terms of that, I could see it being a thing of, well, Galaxy at least you have to try a little bit harder to get some of these stars, whereas Mario Odyssey you walk two steps, so all of a sudden you get a moon.
I definitely, I think I enjoyed Galaxy 1. Maybe I'm giving it a lot more points because I'm going, wow, I missed this back in the day, didn't play it back in the day, and now I'm experiencing it now, and I have such, like, I'm so impressed by what they were able to pull off back then, so maybe I'm giving it extra bonus points there. But I don't think you're wrong in that I really enjoyed a lot of the difficulty that Galaxy 1 presented. And not to say that Odyssey didn't, that it was just like a walk in the park or whatever, but I do think you were right though on the right point of like the cohesion of the space theme as opposed to kind of just flying your plane and going to these like random kingdoms that don't have a whole lot to do with each other. I don't know, just something about the place and time that I was at that maybe Odyssey did. I bet you if I booted it up now, I'd be like, I was absolutely wrong, and I know I would be, because I know that there's no part of me that says Mario Odyssey is not a good game at all. Like I know it's a fucking goat. I just don't. It didn't hit for me at that time for whatever reason. Did it need a battle pass? Some people were saying.
Fair enough.
Some people are saying
And
that.
the open world nature of having the Breath of the Wild moment and looking at something and saying, I want to go there. I don't know if I want that out of Mario. Because as like, there's something about being an adventurer with a sword and a shield on your back and feeling like you are in this fantasy adventure and saying, I can go anywhere I want. With Mario, I don't know if I see that as I'm an Italian plumber. I can go anywhere that I want right now. For me, it's more of, I just love the creativity of level design and stuff that the Mario Galaxy presented to you. Even stuff in all the more recent Mario games. I'm like, I guess I would just like more of that. I don't know if I want gigantic sprawling, you can touch that mountain, you can go get that special Korok or whatever. I don't know if I necessarily need that. I think Mario 64 is kind of just, it's what I want to see that redone. I want to see that with this new fresh coat of paint.
Well, do I have the thing for you, Andy? But we'll talk about that right after a quick word from our sponsors.
About to leak something?
This episode is brought to you by Aura Frames. I'm going to be real. Aura Frames might be the most popular sponsor product people here have ever had at Kinda Funny. Many of us have Aura Frames set up at their desks, and even more of us have gifted them to friends and family to absolute rave results. Aura Frames was named the #1 digital picture frame by Wirecutter, and it's for a good reason. It's so easy to set up, and they have different frame options. We gifted Aura Frames to Gia's mom and dad this holiday, and they're both obsessed with us being able to upload our wedding photos straight to their frames. All you need is the free Aura app and a Wi-Fi connection, and you can upload as many photos and videos as you want, and your favorite live iPhone photos will play right on the frame. Right now, you can save on the perfect gift that keeps on giving by visiting auraframes.com. For a limited time, listeners can get $20 off of their best-selling Carver matte frame with code KINDAFUNNY. That's auraframes.com, promo code KINDAFUNNY. Don't forget to mention that we sent you to show your support for this show. Terms and conditions apply. I don't put that out yet, Kev. I'm gonna send you one other thing first. I'm gonna send the second one. So what I just sent, pull that up right now. So here's the thing, Andy. Obviously, me and Bless talk all the time. Mario 64.
We do.
Like one of our favorite games, if not our favorite game of all time.
Yeah.
Right. So we're right there with you, wanting to just remake goddamn Mario 64. At the very least, make it widescreen. Like, what are we doing with this freaking 3D All Stars port that you did? Whatever, right? But the thing is, Mario 64 will never be better than it currently is because of it's the way that the levels are designed, how outdated the camera system is or whatever, how limited the stars can be and all that stuff. So the best thing to do for Mario 64 is to just enhance Mario 64. Don't change it. Don't add anything, all right? Literally just make it look better because the gameplay is what it is, right? Render 64 is this project.
Yes.
The PC ports of Mario 64. It's the dream, all right? So we have the original concept art and kind of promotional marketing materials for Mario 64 that have this very definitive look, right? Like this is the early CG 3D stuff that got going on.
Everything was shiny.
Everything is shiny.
Yeah.
And keep going, Kev, because there's one in particular I wanted to bring up. This image here was like one of the most shared images of Mario 64 back in the day. Everyone's like, "Ooh, look how reflective he is."
Yeah, this is metal.
But now that
tracing.
the source code for the game has been ported to PC and people are able to do all the PC fun stuff, they've just made the game what it was originally supposed to look like. So, Kev, you can pull up the other video now. Like this is playable, and this is everything.
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
the sound effects are great.
It's because it's just the game.
Yeah, it's just the game.
It's just the game. Anyway,
They redid a lot of the assets as well.
What did they do to my boy?
well, it's literally everything.
Yeah.
Every single thing has been changed to like look like the original concept art.
So they're rebuilding it.
This level specifically was like just them from the concept art. But Kev, if you look up just on YouTube, Render 64, like we can just see the entire game. Like you can play it right now.
I think playing that video, Nintendo may be knocking on our door.
Yeah.
Just simply playing it.
But shit's insane. Like the level of when you add all the ray tracing and all that stuff to not that concept-y thing in particular, but like just like looking through the game. It's just like, yeah, it's how Mario 64 is supposed to look, widescreen, all that stuff. Anyway, it's very cool that exists.
My question, Wario, this must be the DS version. My question, when it comes to Mario 64 and our desire, damn, I didn't realize there's this much footage out of this.
I mean, the entire game's playable.
This
Like-
looks really fascinating. I still, in commenting on this, right? Because I think this looks really fucking cool. Oh, there's a tube.
There's a lot of different versions and stuff. I don't know exactly what this one
They're
is.
getting crazy with it.
So yeah, this is the
Oh, I
3DS
see.
version or DS version.
Which I never played Mario 64 DS. I don't know if I ever will. Looking at this, I think this looks cool as hell. I need the Nintendo like charm to it though. Like this does look like, even though I really respect and I love what they're doing with this, like there is something I think missing as far as if Nintendo were to do this. Like
whenever a YouTuber does their let's add realistic lighting to everything Nintendo, it never looks appealing to me. Like I never love the way modern rendering techniques look inside of an old Nintendo game, but Nintendo just has a sauce for what their materials look like, what their visuals are.
Yeah.
And that's why, man,
animations.
That's why I'm so excited for the Switch too, because of how blown away I am. Just when I was back home for Christmas vacation, booting up Mario Party Jamboree and being like, dude, these visuals are on this little shitty fucking machine. This old ass Android tablet is still they're still able to pump out these visuals. Holy shit, what's the future going to look like? And it's just that Nintendo has their art style. They know how they have their art direction that looks immaculate.
Actually, I do
So
wanna play
just
this.
real
This
quick.
looks really cool.
I don't know what Kevin was showing isn't it. That was like some custom thing. This is what
I was gonna say. I was like, this looks good.
Yeah. So like
Tim,
typically,
you told me just go. And,
no. Oh, I know. I'm not blaming you. I'm just like confirming here. It's like, yeah, that was like some fan thing of like taking the DS game or whatever. This is Render 64.
Yeah, no, this looks fucking
like
fantastic.
you're not possibly going to get better at this than taking the magic and soul's the right word, the soul of Mario 64, but actually,
yeah, this looks right. Okay, this looks
is
right.
it, you know.
So in the Mario 64 topic, right? The question I was gonna ask before is, how do you feel Nintendo, I guess, thinks about Mario 64, and do you think there is a desire for them to want to bring it back in a bigger way? I ask because obviously Mario Brothers 1 will always go back in honor. Mario Bros, even like Mario 3, Super Mario World. Like when it comes to the 2D stuff, it feels like there's a desire to harken back, like do Mario Maker stuff, right? Like, you know, do the 2D like that stuff feels so much easier to bring back in a meaningful way. One, because obviously there's nostalgia for it, but then also I think there's also just a thing of 2D stuff is a bit easier to mess around with and like, you know, harken back to and bring back in modern ways. Whereas Mario 64, because of the era it came out in, I feel like it's so, you look at it, right? And maybe not this version, but you look at the original Mario 64 and it's tough on the eyes, especially if you're a new generation. For me, I look at it, I'm like, oh, that's Mario 64. I played that all my life. If you're giving Mario 64 to a 10-year-old with a Switch 2, they look at it and their eyes are probably like, ugh, like this is disgusting. And like, I think it's hard to teach. You can't really teach nostalgia to somebody, to like a kid, right? And I think it's even tough to teach history sometimes for how the ways in which Mario 64 were impactful. So I guess my question then ends up being, as Nintendo, do you get anything out of bringing back Mario 64? Do you get anything about even making a Mario 64 remake? Like, is that just a lost cause for you because of what Mario 64 is inherently?
I think to the remake question, yeah, like unfortunately, as much as I want it, it's like that just, they haven't done it for a reason. And again, like I do think that what we're looking at here, like this is the best a remake is going to be for Mario 64, unless you're just doing, if they were to just put the entirety of Mario 64 in a different Mario engine, that's a different story for me.
Yeah.
And we've seen that with Throwback Galaxy and Galaxy 2. So I clearly do think that they do have reference for 64.
Well, I haven't seen it because they didn't put that fucking game in the collection.
Which is very
What
weird.
happened? Did they lose the computer that had it on?
It was on a USB.
Yeah, can you YouTube
fuck?
Throwback Galaxy?
Reggie Fils-Aimé actually accidentally sat on the USB.
He took it with him when he left.
He was like, ah, shit.
But
I still got this.
What was it?
Throwback Galaxy.
Okay.
And then the Peach's Castle in Nintendo World, in Super Nintendo World, it's clearly based off of the Mario 64 one, but the exterior does have that more modern kind of Galaxy onward
About the
look.
theme park?
Yeah,
Okay, gotcha.
exactly. But like there's the sun on the floor, there's the paintings around, like it's Mario 64. Like I feel like Mario 64 is canon to Nintendo in a way that Super Mario Brothers is canon to them.
Yeah.
Is this it?
Yes.
Throwback Galaxy there.
Yeah, you'll have to fast forward in the video a little bit.
Yeah, their art direction is just the best.
Yeah, like this is just
It just stands the test of time.
this is the second level in Mario 64.
Yeah,
but
so
in the Galaxy style.
I absolutely would not want a remake of 64. I would just love we are back in that world with a new mission.
Yeah.
There's new shit going down. Again, we opened a secret cellar door, and there was 42 paintings that we didn't see. Go put up the paintings, go hop into those worlds, what's happening, hop into the old worlds as well, with the new shine that Nintendo brings. Again, I'm not asking for, I largely feel like a lot of other people feel whenever you see Legend of Zelda in Unreal Engine 5. There's just always something that feels and looks off about it that, and that's weird for me to say that because I'm a sucker for anything looking different and things just upgrading and changing in a way. Those things never work for me. I want just Nintendo's modern art direction put over that world.
I think, to your point, I think it's less about bringing back 64 in a big and new way, and more so, I see it as bringing back Peach's Castle. Because, like, to Tim's point about Nintendo World and the Peach's Castle is so strongly part of the ethos of Mario, but like we're there so rarely. Like I forget, like what are the games in which we've explored Peach's Castle?
She never invites us.
Like it's like after the whole Mario 64 incident, she's like, no more. But yeah, like Mario 64, we explored Peach's Castle, and that was, I think, the thing that made that the thing. And then after that, I'm sure there's been Paper Mario moments.
Oh yeah, I mean Paper Mario 1 specifically, like there's a lot of castle stuff, and I remember playing that and just being like, oh my god, I'm in the castle again. But admittedly, like I feel like I've never felt like the Peach's Castle experience lives up to what I want it to be. Like from my memories of Mario 64, of like how cool it would be to modern it. I feel like the new art styles take away from the magic. Like there's something about Mario 64 with the walls being seemingly hand painted with murals of the green hills and stuff, right? And like the clouds in the sky. Like there's just so much there. Whereas like you see Peach's Castle in Odyssey, and it just kind of feels like it's just a castle
Yeah.
that is in Mario Odyssey, as opposed to this is Peach's Castle. You know?
The only reason I disagree with that, like I'm not saying you're wrong in feeling that. I think that I think they could nail it if they took another couple of hacks at it. Like if you're feeling that way, I don't think it's a lost cause that you would never ever feel.
I'm
the
saying
same
so
magic.
far.
Yeah. I'm the type that Nintendo has their art direction that it feels like, you know, you have to start learning as a child whenever you get sort of brought into work at Nintendo. Like they're teaching you that shit when you're age 8 or whatever, and you're just learning your craft instead of becoming a welder. You're going to be a Nintendo artist, and they have such a good way of they have perfected what looks like a Nintendo game, except Mario, the most recent Mario Golf Rush game. That game looked real bad. I don't know what engine they were using there, but they use the same font that you always hate on.
I know.
I love that
font is in
I
everything.
love that font.
It's Capcom and Nintendo. Get new font packs.
I love that font, but I do think that they could take another hack at it, and it could work.
Oh, I guarantee it. I mean, I know that they can. I just so far I feel like I've been very let down by the interior of Peach's Castle since Mario 64. Like it's always just you kind of walk in and you see it, but it feels like a facsimile of what we expect it to actually be. I'm trying to find even footage of being in Peach's Castle, but I think it's just so underwhelming that like
people go in and they're like, I'm gonna peace out of here.
So you got to Peach's Castle through that main warp pipe.
Yeah.
What if it was through another painting in somebody's house? That you just found this, you hopped in, you're like, holy shit, now I'm here. Whoa.
That'd be sick.
It was a dream the whole time. You know, that sort of thing. Like, I just want that so badly. I think there's, it can't fail if you were to do something like that. There's no way that the modern Nintendo presented and modern ethos that Nintendo has, their design ethos, there's no way that a video game like that could fail if you are doing Mario 64, but a lot more than that.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for a 1.5 remake or a 64.5 remake. I'm asking for like a full ass video game with that same sort of thought process in mind.
So obviously, like this episode's titled "Our Hopes and Dreams," and I think we've been talking a lot about our hopes and dreams.
Good thumbnail too.
Great thumbnail. One of the things I want to bring up is Nintendo's modern depiction of Mario and how we think that'll feed into what the next Mario is, because we obviously talk about Bowser's Fury, but I think when we're talking about modern Mario, we have to bring up Mario Wonder, right? And like, is there anything there that can feed into? Could we get a 3D Mario Wonder Seed situation? There's also the Mario movie. Is there any influences there that we can see in a 3D Mario in terms of how they depict Mario in that movie? Does Mario start yapping? Does he start? Is he voiced by Chris Pratt? God, I hope not.
Man.
And then there's the Mario Kart trailer, or not trailer, but the Mario Kart footage from the Switch 2 trailer that we got, where Donkey Kong's in there, and he's looking all weird. He's looking like original Donkey Kong, and I don't like it. Like, is that
movie Donkey Kong?
Is that how he looked in the movie?
Yeah, he had the more.
That's what
Is that what Seth Rogen looked like?
Yeah, that's why Seth Rogen laughed. Yeah.
I think
it's more stylized to fit the movie universe. But yeah,
Seth
it
Rogen.
is definitely more.
I mean, but is that a sign? Like the fact that they're doing that with Mario Kart, are they going to do that with Mario?
I think so. I don't think it's going to be all the way. Like I don't think it's like
his full name.
That intense of a change. But
I was looking up Donkey Kong and I was like, whoa.
Oh, that's you just click on the.
It's real
That's
loud,
cool.
Kevin. It's real
Yeah, I'm
loud.
sure the audio listeners love that.
Yeah, sorry about
Real
that.
loud. Yeah.
but the thing about Wonder is I don't think that we're gonna get the Wonder Seeds or any of that type of like gameplay stuff. But I do think that Mario
art
having a different
style?
voice actor.
Oh yeah,
Right? Like
That's gonna
that
feed
like
into
this is
it.
gonna be the first time, like, even if it is an Odyssey 2, which I don't think it's gonna be, it's like I don't think they're gonna bring back Charles. So there will be a different vibe inherently with all that stuff.
And Mario was looking cuter in Mario 1.
He ain't wrong.
He was a cutie patootie. Like he was looking cutie patootie-ish in Mario Wonder, and he was looking kind of cute in the Mario Kart Switch 2 thing.
I think the Switch 2 look for him in that sort of small little glimpse we saw in the Switch 2 presentation. To me, that was like a meeting in the middle of Cutie Patootie Wonder and the
like
typical Mario we're used to seeing. Mario Wonder, to me, I think like when they sort of changed that art style, I was like just all for that look. I didn't see a whole lot of changes in that Mario Kart thing, except for Donkey Kong being the one main
Donkey Kong had a
standout.
major change for
Yeah.
sure.
Mario he was a little more squat, and everything was just a little more round.
But
And
he's
I
a
think,
little carrito. Like, you don't really know.
Because I think that's what I'm expecting now for 3D. Like, I think he's gonna look cuter in the new 3D Mario, and I think he's gonna be shorter. Like, there's something about the recent depictions of Mario, and maybe I'm just thinking too much about Mario Brothers Wonder, which
It's
of course
definitely Wonder,
2D,
yeah.
but I'm like, I could see him being like more cutie patootie in the next 3D Mario.
I also think though that Wonder clearly was like this sounds way more dramatic than I mean it, but it was an act of desperation of Nintendo art style wise to be like, we need people to know that this isn't a new Super Mario Brothers game. Like they had to do something that was definitively different, or else it's just they're really putting out another one of these. You know what I mean?
you meant
like a new Super Mario
Sorry,
Brothers.
like
franchise.
literally the
I
yeah,
heard
the
it the same
title.
way you did.
the
Also.
franchise of New Super Mario, where it's
I was like, wait,
people,
Tim, are you saying that's not a real Mario game?
people just so fucking over it.
Yeah, I was so over it.
Yeah, even though some of them are amazing, but people are just over it, and they still sell millions and millions and millions of over 10 million copies. But people were over it, and so they had to do this. I don't think people are over any 3D Mario style. Like I think that like they can keep doing it with just minor tweaks, and I don't think it
But I
needs to
think
be
they-
like this dramatically different thing.
I feel like they tend to change it with every game, aside from like Galaxy 1 to 2. But like with every 3D iteration so far, I felt like there's been some kind of, and then of course generations, right? So 64 to GameCube, of course, is gonna be changed.
I think they're getting modernized. Like
Modern-
the same look is there for like at least in my opinion. Just looking at like what their rendering techniques are and
Kevin,
the
bring up Odyssey Mario. for me.
shadows and looks of everything. But I think if you were to look at how Mario Odyssey looks compared to even the way a lot of the characters look in Super Mario Party Jamboree, which is like the latest time we've seen the typical Mario we're used to, not tiny little cutie patootie Wonder Mario.
Mhm.
I think that it's just they've sort of like honed in what the overall look and style is.
I mean, I think they did that back in 64. Like I feel like the tweaks and differences
Ooh.
we've seen between
Good image, Kevin.
Mario, it's like, yeah, look at this. From 64
Yeah.
on, it's like that's what Mario is, and it's just more the tech and
Yeah.
graphic style of the game
Mhm.
that add the
I mean,
differences.
what do you think the tech of the Switch? Because what we're looking at 4K ray tracing.
But I
Is
mean,
that too much?
yes.
but I mean, I think they keep
Absolutely.
this though. I don't think they change this much.
Or
I think
4K
Mario
or
looks
ray
the same.
tracing? I guess.
Ew.
I don't like this.
I do not like the 2020.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is that the Lego one? Is that the Lego Mario?
Mhm.
Wait, so you're expecting 4K ray tracing on?
Wait, hold on, man.
Wait, what? But are we expecting 4K?
Yes, for the menu.
Yeah.
Okay, for the menu.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll get.
If Mario's edges
you-
aren't sharp, because I'm tired of this, like the jaggies on the side.
Well,
like,
yeah, you're getting the jaggies because you're getting native 720 on your screen, and then you'll get a 720 upres to 1080, or
On the-
just
on the Switch
1080.
1.
Yeah, in the
Okay.
Switch 1.
But like that's not gonna happen on the Switch 2, right?
The Switch 2, I got to assume it's with the upresing, you're gonna get 720 up to with the upresing stuff, taking it to 4K.
I was gonna say everybody in chat right now is saying Switch ain't doing 4K.
I think it
Switch
will.
is not doing. I mean, it will do it, but it's not gonna. That should not be an expectation that like it's real 4K. It won't be real.
no,
4K.
it won't be real. 4K.
Oh, I don't know the difference.
Okay, well,
I'm just saying.
Then none of
I
this
got a
matters.
4K TV, and there better be 4Ks on the screen when I'm looking at Mario when I'm playing this game.
I mean, it may take it up to 1440p and then use the rendering tech to go to.
I just want him to look sharp. Is really
it will
my
say
only-
it's 4K.
It's gonna look.
He'll look sharp enough.
But
Yeah.
it's gonna look so much better than
Yeah.
what you.
That's
have
all I want.
come
Is
to-
there
come to expect.
Switch 1 doesn't have HDR, right?
No, it
No.
does not.
Will Switch 2 have HDR?
Yes, it will.
Thank God.
Like-
okay.
We don't know that, but it will.
Well,
I want them colors. To
Is
pop.
it
It's gonna have HDR.
is it gonna be an update 4 years into?
No, it's gonna fucking day one have HDR. I'm gonna fucking flip my shit if it does not have HDR.
I don't know if it will. Tim.
It's 100. It
I
has
don't
to.
know, man.
Is the Switch 1 gonna have? Is the Switch 2 gonna have a screen? Is it at least gonna have a screen? Can I look at the game when I'm playing it? What is it gonna have?
Why have y'all been getting me excited?
What is the Switch 2?
I don't think it'll have HDR, Tim. I have a weird feeling it won't.
See, that is like just such a weird Nintendo decision if it didn't. Like HDR is a standard for this type of stuff at
To
this
me,
point.
I'm blown away that this is even happening. That they are even making an attempt at saying, let's go for a hardware that makes our shit look better. That to me is a weird Nintendo decision.
But it's not that much better though. Like we're at a point now where
no,
just
it will-
everything has advanced so much that like just even one step forward is already. It reminds me of the Wii going to the Wii U of just like all they need to do is just get to 1080, and like that's gonna be huge. Or even just get to 720, get to HD,
Get to HD, yeah.
get to HD.
Like
We're at that point again.
to me, the fact that they and I think a lot of it just has to do with the success of the software and the hardware, and realizing, man, we could just keep on selling these games. Like the idea that there's people at Nintendo that are saying right now, like, man, this new thing's gonna make everything look better. That's crazy to me. Like just because of their past track record. So that's the reason why I don't think it'll have HDR.
Who does Nintendo go
Man.
to like develop like the hardware, like chips and stuff?
It's an NVIDIA
Is it
chipset.
You don't. There's got to be somebody at NVIDIA that's like, oh, we're making this for you. We standardize it now with H. There's no way we can't make this without HDR. Like, you don't think there's somebody that's upselling them at NVIDIA that's like, hey man, it's only gonna cost like $1 more, $1 more.
Oh, like
There's no way HDR's not part of
think
this.
it's just
That's insane.
You think it's just like a pack-in?
yeah, like a
it's-
pack-in,
yeah.
like, hey, this includes HDR. Just put HDR in it, Nintendo.
I would not be shocked at all if
I would be shocked.
if
Like-
if it had the capabilities, but it wasn't even enabled. You know, like that's where I'm at with where I think they're
Like,
at.
I mean, we know it'll have the capabilities.
I don't know
Like,
if
we
anybody at Nintendo owns an OLED TV. You know what I mean? Like that's where I'm at.
We put the Switch out in OLED. Like we act like Mario Odyssey is not one of the prettiest games ever.
No, it is. Oh,
You know
no,
what
no,
I mean?
no.
It's like they know how to use the tech and they know what they're doing with the tech. And we've seen them before catch up with tech. And it's like, all right, cool. We hit a point where that's all you need for these games to look incredible.
They turned Bluetooth on 3 years into the damn device.
'Cause
yeah,
I just don't see Nintendo.
Like, that's crazy.
so that's different.
I just don't see Nintendo in a room with the Switch 1 hardware with a hammer being like, oh man, we can't put HDR in this thing. Like, they must have had the conversation with themselves, with NVIDIA, and there's no way the answer is no.
Like,
There's no way the answer is no.
Correct me if I'm wrong. HDR debuted with the Xbox One S and PlayStation 4 Pro.
Yeah.
But then was added to PS4, correct?
I don't.
Oh, I don't
remember.
know. I don't think so.
remember.
HDR?
Yeah.
No, I think HDR was specifically a pro feature.
Let me know, everybody.
They're gonna.
Let me know.
They're gonna sell you HDR on a fucking flash drive. You know, like.
The chat is split.
Yeah, the chat is very split. The chat has no
Regular
idea.
PS4 had HDR.
Wait, really?
Yeah, dude, this HDR thing is not. It's not the type of tech that
I
we're
just
talking
imagine,
about.
like, you know, them coming in Miyamoto with the Switch 2 model and being like, the fuck are these colors? Take this shit out. No, what is
Absolutely
that? HDR? No, man. No, we don't do that. We're Nintendo. We don't do that.
we got some super
What are we,
chats
Digital
here.
Foundry?
You think this is an Xbox? No, get this out of here. Turn it down to 720 while you're at it. Why is this so sharp?
Honey Crispy says,
Where are the jackies?
thank you guys for helping me get through the workday. Coming up on a year of being a KFBF. Love y'all. Thank you so much
you.
for a year of hanging out with us.
Only a year.
It's great. Always my favorite. Getting new fans.
Always
you know what I
blows me
mean?
away.
New people coming in to show us love. Fantastic.
Miyamoto's
stuff.
like,
Thank
I've been
you.
playing for 30 minutes. Where's the online connection error? Why am I still connected? Why am I still playing Mario Kart?
God, I'm so surprised, Andy, that you have this stance. I like.
I just wouldn't be surprised by any of it. Like,
I understand that from the pessimistic point of view of Nintendo makes weird decisions. So
And
that, at that point, anything.
but also them not
possible.
caring about. And also at this, I'm already like, kind of seeing the devil's advocate side of the argument of like, HDR isn't cutting edge, Andy. You're not about to say Nintendo doesn't care about cutting edge tech. HDR is not cutting edge tech. I just wouldn't be surprised if that was like an oversight. You know, maybe they'll add HDR when you get the Switch to OLED.
Could you imagine? Like, I don't want to see.
HDR
I swear to
is.
God, if I see a box for the Switch 2 OLED and the HDR is a listed feature, I'm fighting somebody. No. That shit better come in the base system. I don't want to see it listed as a feature. I just want to assume that it's there.
Yeah, it should be there.
It should be an assumption.
No, you're absolutely
and also
right.
backwards
It
compatibility.
is.
Which they
everybody.
said.
Just letting you know, it is an assumption that it'll be there.
I like legitimately. I'm not making any. This is not me exaggerating. I think this is gonna be like the biggest leap in tech I've ever experienced in my life. This is gonna be going from a goddamn GeForce 1080 to a 5090.
It's really not, though, man.
It is to me because of how dog shit so many of their games look, man. And it's not. I'm not doing the Pokemon Scarlet Violet looks bad. That's just not enough game dev time. That's not a limit of the hardware. We've seen what the hardware can do. And when it can do shit, it still doesn't look good. But you know that, like, if I were to just to turn a knob, or I've seen what their games look like in allegedly in really good emulators running at 60 frames. Like, it is magic. And to me, this is going to be like the largest leap that I've experienced in a tech generation since like PS2 to PS3 type shit.
But I mean, think about from Wii to Wii U. Think about Smash Brothers Brawl to Smash Brothers Wii U. Like, the difference there was they just got a little bit more modern. They just went up to HD. And Wii U looks so much better than Brawl. So much better. Just because it's just like closer to modern.
But also, I'm getting 30 frames per second against my will. I'm being force-fed 30 frames per second. Oh, God.
It's Greg standing off to the side.
He's got the stars in the bank.
I hate it. I hate it so
stars
much.
Encapsulates 3. He's just standing there.
He's
Yeah,
just
not even doing
standing
else.
there.
He's just standing there.
I don't know if he's
menacingly.
real.
He's just smiling at us.
I
Yeah,
hate the fucking stars in the bank so
He's just
much.
standing so
He has
still.
not blinked, everybody. He's just there.
There he is.
Yeah, you can see him.
Yeah.
Also-
So anyway, I was
Is
force-fed
it
30
time,
frames per
Greg?
second.
You doing it?
You doing it? He's just smiling. He's just standing.
I
Looking.
don't like this. It's so unnerving.
I love that we got
Continue, Andy.
we got to this conversation just because I asked, is Mario going to look good? All I want is for Mario to look good. And he looks good. Not that he doesn't. He looks great. I just want, like, the little edges. Just, like,
No, yeah.
iron out. I mean, iron. Just
that's-
iron out the edges.
Look, fucking, you get the Jaggies on goddamn Zelda. What's that game called? Echoes of Wisdom, right? And then you'll get 60 frames per second every now and then, and it'll drop to 22 every now and then. And like, to me, having a consistent 60 in a game that looks better than 720p is going to be a feast for the eyes, for me personally. This is such a big deal for me to not have to worry about, because when I wanted to play Metroid Remastered, I bought that shit, booted it up, and I was like, what if I could find an alternate way? And then I ended up giving up on it. But like, to be able to see what their shit can do in a crisp fashion, it's the most excited I've been about a hardware upgrade in a long fucking time.
So,
Me too.
like, no, you don't, ray tracing, period. Like, 1080. No?
No.
I mean, ray tracing, it'd all be through AI enhanced things.
Well, and do we think there's going to, because we've talked about this
No,
before,
like ray tracing is a hardware thing. You get like the AI upscaling would be taking your game at 640p or 720p and boosting that shit up to make it look sharper.
But do we expect AI upsampling for the Switch too?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Yes.
I'll take that.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll take that.
Absolutely you will. But
Yeah.
also, this piece of hardware, this chipset is equivalent to the PS4 Pro. And we see what that shit could do. But also, it's going to be better than that as well because it's still a newer piece of hardware that has been worked on for a bit longer. So it's not like you're getting power equivalent of the PS4 Pro, and then you look at fucking Uncharted 4, like that's what it's capable of.
Okay.
It can still pump out really
with
good
it.
looking shit. And that's all I can like for everybody getting angry that like why would they not go for newer chipset? Well, because they don't want to sell the damn thing for $900.
Yeah.
Like you
Not
would
the
have
move.
to charge a lot more, but you're getting a still completely viable chipset, and it's still Nintendo we're talking about. We grade these things on a curve. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet looked like complete dog shit, and I hated visualizing it. I hate looking at that mountain with the
I hate
same
thinking
tiling
about it.
texture. And that was still like my number 8 game of the year that year because I had so much fun with
Yeah.
it. Man, Pokemon Za. Oh God, I can't wait.
This will be a good
Yeah,
time.
dude. 3
That's
weeks.
the most. Oh gosh.
You're 3 weeks away from seeing it.
What?
Pokemon Day, February 27th.
What time? 2 in the morning.
Probably 6
Fucking
a.m.
bullshit.
Probably 6 a.m.
Get
Andy.
rid
Did
Shit
we talk about
straight.
the fact that they're revealing the Switch 2 at 6 a.m.?
I
We
know.
waking up? Were you doing that? Were you
Of
waking
course
up?
we're doing that. Plus, we've done it for so much worse. Like,
Are we doing that? Bless, we woke up one time for a goddamn like weird Pokemon pinball game or whatever the fuck. Pokemon
right.
Sleep.
So upsetting, guys.
Do you
Oh
remember?
my God.
Do you remember though in the pandemic, the amount of lead up and wish and wants for all of these Nintendo Directs? What do you want? What are you predicting? Every one of them, we would say a new Pokemon Snap.
mm-hmm.
And we woke up for every goddamn Pokemon Presents at 3 in the morning.
Andy.
And the one time they did
Andy,
what?
I don't think you remember the insult to injury here. We did wake up at 6 a.m. to do the Pokemon Direct. And then they announced there was another one the next day. And we were like, fuck you. And that's where they announced
That's where they did the Snap. Yeah. And it's like, and that's the saddest part is that, that's the one that we missed out on, even though it was the one that we kept on, we were just saying, new Snap, new Snap, new Snap.
We got Unite for the one we watched.
Good game, man. I played that game for about
That's the MOBA, right?
8 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, 10 hours.
That would have been the game that got me into MOBA, so I played it.
Dominating his Greninja out there. Greninja. Yeah. He's a sexy guy.
So cool, dude.
That tongue
JB Bonifacio says, I lost my shit when Mario Odyssey gave us playable Bowser, maybe playable Princess Peach in the next Mario. I mean, we didn't even talk about like the prediction I made a couple weeks ago, but I do think there's going to be multiplayer and multiple playable characters in this game as well. So yeah, I think that you'll play as Peach.
But it won't be the same sort of design ethos of Super Mario 3D World, right?
No.
I'm
thinking, and again, this is kind of combining predictions and hopes. So like kind of different things here. I do think it's just going to be a big ass open world that you can be together and have some type of hit a button and you all jump to the same section, or you're just collecting moons or stars or whatever the hell things that you're doing.
If they I mean, this has nothing to do with open world, but if they played It Takes Two and we're like, what if we just did a 2-player Mario It Takes Two? Like with that sort of
now
cooperative mechanical stuff.
Let's split. Oh, now we're cooking.
God dang.
It Takes Two style like 3D Mario game.
Oh my God. With the music, with the everything, you know what I mean? Like, cause if It Takes Two just had that skin and didn't have Cody, if it didn't have that shit, it was Mario. Can you imagine?
Mario. It Takes Two Mario Brothers. It Takes Two Brothers. All workshop. It takes two bro. Oh yeah. It Takes Two Bros.
Takes two Italians.
CJ Splits on says Mario versus Donkey Kong swing and slide mechanics. I mean, I do think that is interesting. The idea of Donkey Kong having a completely different moveset that then allows him to go places and do things that the other characters can't. We lightly saw that in Mario 64 DS with the different characters having different stars to be able to get, and a lot of the Sonic games function that way too.
Mm-hmm.
That seems a little too ambitious for what they're going for here, for how tight Nintendo likes its things. But
yeah, I've just given up all hope for another 3D Donkey Kong thing, just because like it didn't go well for them last time. It seems like. I mean, I loved it, but
for which
Donkey Kong 64.
I don't think you should give up. I think
Yeah.
like we're seeing like Donkey Kong's getting his own theme park.
It's
Like
true.
you know what I mean? Like that's the resurgence is happening. We're in the middle of it.
I hope, man. If there's a
Fucking
camera,
Revolution will not be televised.
if a camera goes behind the back of Donkey Kong, you guys will see me in a state you've never seen me before. Like, I will go crazy.
Hold on, are you just
Get ready,
picturing?
Blast.
Are you picturing Kratos there, like fucking, like sitting down at the fire?
Yeah.
And then you hit start game, and then
And the camera swings behind Donkey Kong's back. Are you kidding me? I'm gonna like,
I'm just yelling at Diddy.
I'm gonna hop up and down like out of my chair. Like, let's fucking go. We're back. Donkey Kong in 3D space. We did it.
Oh my God.
Where's Lanky?
That's so damn funny.
that would be incredible.
The Uncharted Wolf says, just give me a trailer as good as the E3 2017 Odyssey trailer. I mean, can you imagine, right? Getting that jump up superstar played, and we're like, there's a vocal track. He
Yeah.
pops out of the freaking sewer of New Dog City. There's dinosaurs. It's like, dude, they showed off Odyssey in a way that was mind blowing and magical. And yeah, it's a tough sell to be able to do that again. I think they got it. In
What
them,
if
though.
it's the new version of Mario saving the other Marios?
So like a Mario Generations, like Sonic Generations?
Oh, is
but
that
it's
what Sonic
Mario?
Generations
Yeah.
is?
So many of the
Kinda.
ideas we list were like, in my mind, I'm like, Sonic did that shit already, man. Sonic, catch up, Mario.
Gotta go fast.
That would be really cool, though. A Mario Generations game, man. Now we're cooking. Now we're cooking.
And then you go to fucking Mario 2, and it's the different color schemes there, and then you go to
you meet Birdo again, and it's like, man,
you were here.
you are freaky.
Yeah.
I wonder if
What is
Birdo's
your
gonna be in
anatomy?
3D. I want 3D Birdo.
See, I don't like. There's something about the Mario world where I kind of like the separation of church and state. It's like, Birdo, you stay in the.
Like Shy Guys don't belong in
Yeah.
3D.
Well, no, Shy Guys for 3D in Mario
They
64.
fly around a bit.
Yeah, but like Birdo, you specifically, I want you to stay.
That
stay
doesn't
2D.
seem cool, man.
Bro,
I don't
the
know.
current
But, like,
world
you're-
is not ready for
No,
you.
you're invited to like tennis. Like you can when it's tennis, when it's tennis, you can be in 3D.
If there's an athletic competition,
You're invited. But like if we're just doing 3D
Fuck.
platforming, Berto, no, you're not allowed. Stay in
Holy
2D.
shit. Dean8149 says, I could see them making a more 64-style successor with the launch of the movies, amusement park, new voice actors, new designs for Mario and DK. I can see them wanting to highlight the Mushroom Kingdom. Yeah. Nate OG says, what kind of bomber jacket is Tim wearing, and why are they not a sponsor yet? It is Top something.
Top Golf.
Oh, Top Man. Yeah. Was
Top
that
Man.
ASOS?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, they sell a lot of the Top Man brand.
Yeah,
on
I literally
ASOS.
just bought this.
Smell? Oh my
I
god!
don't smell, is it
delicious.
food? I don't smell anything.
Andy's having a stroke. Oh no.
It smells so good.
I don't smell anything.
Maybe it's the
Yeah.
microphone.
Yeah, I just bought this in literally every
Uh,
color. Love Top Man. Nice quality shit. and
Andy,
it's
I
not
can
expensive.
confirm it smells good out here. Andy has the best nose.
What is it?
I don't know. I didn't do that much research.
Got the nose genes of my mom, man. My mom, like, dude, they don't even. My parents don't even keep a trash can in the house. They hang like a fucking bag on a door, and you'll just put like it doesn't fit shit, and you go throw that out because my mom's always like, no, the trash can thing. It's like it's okay. It's nobody smells like that, you know. But now I do. I think it just happened.
He's
It
evolved.
activated the gene. Activated, you know.
We got Udili, who says some Mario 64 sequel, the castle being remodeled. You have to rescue Toads for them to finish the remodel, furthering the progression. I like that. It's kind of like Mario Maker, the career
Oh,
mode
yeah.
in that.
Right, yeah.
That could be cool.
Yeah,
Like
that's-
if the Mandarin's terrorists like bombed you know what I mean, like an Iron
The
Man 3.
Chinese theater,
I was doing a lot of recap stuff recently. No, when Iron Man's like, here's my address, come fight me, you know, and they
Oh,
fuck it,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then the plan is like rebuilding it all. That would be really neat.
that is the most Nintendo thing I think that's been said. Like the idea of the Toads are just rebuilding the castle. Like that. When you think into Mario Odyssey and what the story was, right? It's Bowser wanted to marry Peach. Like that. The bizarre, like fucking simple ass storylines is where they go. With these Mario games.
I was so blown away in Super Mario Sunshine. Those cutscenes
Mhm.
really shocked my world of
They
this little holographic, colorful version of Mario that we're like,
Liquid
who is
Mario.
this person imitating me? And it was Bowser Jr.
Yeah.
being like, you're supposed to be my mom, Princess Peach. And they would just cut to Mario's like, you know, because it was really early, so they didn't have a whole lot of like sort of facial detail. So it cuts to Mario and he's like, he's just looking shocked. Man, I got all that shit on YouTube. I gotta go find those clips. Those are hilarious, dude.
You're so right.
It was insane, man.
Mama Luigi. Alex J. Sandoval says, Tim, you think Nintendo's going to account for all the Switch games that were designed without HDR? I don't think so, homie. I mean, I'm not saying that.
Well, that won't turn on. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
that's fine.
definitely not saying
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, just like currently, like if you play, not every PlayStation game, like old games are in HDR when you play it, but the system is still HDR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I never stream games on PC in HDR because that ruins like the OBS sort of thing. So I just, when I'm playing off stream, I might, activate it in HDR.
I love that they don't even have themes where we're here talking about HDR.
It's different conversation. And they do have themes. There's just two of
There's
them.
two of them, black and white.
Koba says, I love Jaggies. Don't crucify me. I play on PC 4090. Always disable anti-aliasing. It feels nostalgic.
I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't mind Jack. Like, have you played a short hike?
Oh yeah,
that
Rough Shore,
game's
yeah.
going for that look. It's going for that old nostalgic.
Yeah.
This is how early 3D looked. But the current Jaggies, they would prefer them not to be there. Is
Yeah.
the thing, and it just can't.
And
Yeah,
then
like
Low
Mario
Skill-
Golf shouldn't look like that.
Yeah.
shouldn't look like that. Low Skill Plays says, what's the future of Smash after Ultimate, Tim? That's an excellent question for a different time. But I don't know if you guys talked about this on Games Daily, but yesterday Sakurai, the director of
Oh
Smash
no, we didn't
Brothers,
talk about this. Yeah.
quote tweeted the Nintendo Direct like confirmation of date and time, and in Japanese said, "Wow."
What's your read on it?
I mean, I think something Sakurai is going to be there, whether it's Kid Icarus port, which would be awesome, or announcing a new Smash or something like that, or just a new Sakurai game. Like,
That'd be
this
sick.
man is prolific. So-
I saw the tweet and I just read it as like, oh, he's excited. I did not put together of like he might have something there.
I
thought
think it means something,
Hmm.
but it also couldn't. But like, he
Smash
doesn't
report.
just randomly like promote things like
It doesn't mean anything because if it did, he would have put the eye emojis.
that. Yeah.
That's
True.
that's what you
He's
got
too
do.
cool for that shit, man. He has his
You're
own
right,
way
he
to
is
do
way
it.
too cool for
I'm
that.
just saying, wow. Who does that?
You know what? I'm
Sacrilege.
very anti eye emoji.
Yeah,
I'm tired of it.
it
I'm
implies
over it.
too much. You know what I
I'm
mean?
just like,
Who
you
the
know-
fuck do you think you are? Why would we be interested in you?
Yeah. Why am I
We are.
excited about this thing? You know.
I don't know. I like the eyes.
Let us know in the
Just
comments
reply.
below what you want from the next 3D Mario. We are probably going to see what it
God
looks
damn it.
like not too far from now. What's up, Kev?
I was gonna add eye emojis in the background. I just don't have enough time now to do it. Just blinking.
I hate your bitch ass.
Oh, man. Remember, everybody, in just 25 minutes, we will be re-ranking the MCU in review list, adding all of the other Marvel movies that we have reviewed over time since we started this back in 2017. Kind of crazy to think about. This will be our new definitive list going forward. I am very excited to see where everything falls, and I'm sure it's going to be a great time for you as well. But until next time, goodbye.